How am I going to radically trust God by radically trusting myself? This is a question I've been asking myself a lot recently, as there's a lot going on in the world that's a little scary, a little uncertain. And one thing that hasn't really been a strong suit of mine is moving forward with trust in myself. There's been a lot of noise that I've been letting affect me, that I've been letting come in, when the reality is what I have wanted from the start has been the same, and how I'm showing up has been held back because what if I don't say the right things? What if I don't do the right things? And someone asked me recently, what is it that you want for the moms that end up in your world? And I really thought about it. What is my intention for myself, for the moms that end up in this place, whether they find me on YouTube, a podcast, a blog post? And am I trusting God and myself in this business? And the reality is, I haven't been. Other than to make some pretty solid choices, I have not been trusting myself to grow this the way that I want to, grow this the way that God has put it on my heart to do so. Partly because I'm afraid if I show up how I really believe and feel, people are going to reject me, or I'm going to face this question of not doing it right or not having the right kind of faith or whatever it may be. And so I have not been radically trusting myself or radically trusting God in this area. As I thought about it, I realized what I want is for moms that encounter me to know that there is another way, that it doesn't have to be all burnout and doomsday, and it doesn't have to be this imbalance. It can be balanced. It doesn't have to be burnout. It can be burnout free. And I want them to have peace and calm of spirit, not be docile and quiet, but just have a peace about them, have a calm about them. And how am I supposed to help people do that if I am not exhibiting that myself? If I'm getting wrapped up in everything? I want women to embrace who they are truly and find the ability to work through burnout, put it behind them, and then find the balance in a world that thrives off of imbalance. This world thrives off of us versus them, this versus that. It doesn't do well in nuance or gray area, and this is the thing. I am here for the people that are comfortable living in nuance. I am here for the people that live in the gray area every day and realize there's not a perfect answer. Those that are in the messy middle. I've actually been working with my therapist about this for a while, about how I feel like I am supposed to serve those who are in the in between, those who are in the messy middle, those who don't solidly fit in this group or that group, because they realize there is nuance, that there is more going on here, that how you choose to educate your children is based on their needs and your needs, not what is seen as right or wrong, because there's no right or wrong. Those who make choices according to their beliefs and alignment. And yes, for me, that includes following Jesus. That it just is. But it also includes social justice. Jesus and social justice. It's I live in the and. And so I'm here for the people that live in the and. And I really want to be here for the women that have to find comfort living in the nuance, the gray area, the messy middle, the in between, because it's not perfect. And so when I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about God is asking me, will I radically trust Him with my business by radically trusting myself? And if so, what does that look like? As a therapist who is also a coach, who is also a mom, who is also an author, this means being comfortable saying there's not always a right or wrong answer, or what is right for me may not be right for you, or this is what I believe to be right about this, and this is what I'm standing on. And I have to be okay with all of those being possible answers in any given situation. And the fact is, most of it is messier than we believe it to be. It just is. And so I started to ask myself, what will that look like in this season that is coming after my trust in myself has been so shaky? What will trusting myself fully look like? For me, it is showing up with soft truth, speaking the truth in love and gentleness, in self-trust, in realizing that I do have everything. God has equipped me to show up and speak and be quiet where I need to, and be the voice for the voiceless where I can, and stand in the gap for moms who are in the messy middle. And it also means sovereign tension. I have to be okay with the sovereign tension that we're not always going to have the answers. That sometimes the answers are going to be uncomfortable. That sometimes it's okay to be the ones who are living in the gray, in the center, in the middle, and muddling through as we raise children to be as empathetic, kind, conscientious, intelligent, emotionally secure as we can. God is actually bringing me back to where I started. The foundation of why I even built this business when I was a therapist transitioning to coaching, why I built this particular business. And then I was derailed, trying to follow the ways of all the gurus, trying to listen to, you have to do it this way, you have to do it this way. But God is bringing me back to what he put on my heart originally, which was a community, a membership, a place that is accessible, affordable, and is the space for discourse, is the space for connection, is the space for coaching and training, but with community connection. The truth is, I was always meant to build a community. I was always meant to build a community of those trying to connect in the tension of nuance and the in-between. I was always meant to be an in-between voice. I was always meant to be there for those that have to be in the uncomfortable, the sovereign tension, the messy middle. I was always meant to be there for the people that are saying, I am a both and kind of person. It's not either or, it's both and there's tension here, and I am learning to live in that. So God is bringing me back. I know that burnout recovery and mental resilience shouldn't have to be inaccessible, and it is often. And it shouldn't be out of reach for those who need it, but it is often. And also, part of what contributes to our burnout is we are trying to stick ourselves in little boxes. It has to be all or nothing. It has to be this or that. It has to be one or the other. And it was starting to weigh on me for feeling like a hypocrite that I was speaking up for women in the workforce, but I was not working outside of the home. I was working. I had a job where I had built my own business. I was doing psychoeducation. I was writing. I was doing things, but I was not doing them out of the home. I was in the home with my children, and I felt like a hypocrite because this is what works for me. Being with my kids works for me. I get to go do school pickup today. I got to go volunteer in my kids' classroom, and I will be doing both my kids' classrooms. I get to do the field trips, but my kids didn't go to school until my daughter was in kindergarten and my son was in pre-K. And this is what works for us right now. I still have my eyes on homeschooling potentially in the future because that might be a better decision for us later. But I felt like I was somehow abandoning my people, the work from home people, in favor of the working outside of the home people, even though I wasn't, because I feel like women should have the choice. And the reality is women should have the choice. But we also have to acknowledge that there's a very large number of women who would like the choice and the ability to choose to make their income from home, make it sustainable, and build thriving lives that way. But what's happening is that we're seeing a one or the other. You either work for someone else or you stay home. And there is a plethora of options in between that, and that is who I show up for. The one who makes the choice based on what works for their family, whether they feel forced to or not, that's a different conversation. It's it's me feeling like, can I really show up if I want to champion homeschooling, but I'm not homeschooling? Because in this season, that's not what works for us. But we did a lot of homeschooling preschool before I sent my kids to school. That's what we were doing at the time. And we will probably at some point in some capacity go back to a homeschooling scenario. I don't know yet. I know what's working for us in this season. And I feel like I can't fully champion public school education if we're also considering a private school potentially down the line, or if we're potentially going to pull our kids to home. It has felt like there's not a place, because people like me exist where we are taking everything into consideration. I've recently seen people who are homeschooling one and not the other of their students, because what works for their student is different. And that is who I'm showing up for. I'm showing up for the in-between, the self-employed moms running creative businesses, running businesses from home, the self-employed moms who are either homeschooling or viewing public school, whatever works for them in that season, who realize that life is cyclical, that it is seasonal, that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. And trusting myself, radically trusting myself. These are the words that I felt like God was impressing on my spirit. Radically trust him by radically trusting myself. And the problem is, something that has been coming up for me is that I also want to be a space for centrist, moderate moms who are feeling left out of the discourse, who feel like if they can't be extreme one way or the other, they're not in the right place. And don't get me wrong, I have been very extreme and vocal about my support of social justice issues, about my support of healthcare, about my support of mental health concerns, about my support of, I don't love what is happening in our country right now. And I think that there are other avenues that we could see success. But I feel like for myself, I am far, far too liberal for the conservatives, and I'm somewhat too conservative for the liberals. And I feel like that's a really angsty place to be. And I was feeling very alone in that, but I realized I'm not alone. I saw a couple of other people speaking out about it, and I realized I'm not alone. But if I was feeling alone, someone else out there is feeling alone, and they don't know how to vocalize it. And so by showing up fully as myself, that is where the people are going to say, hey, she sees the nuance. She sees the in-between. She realizes that there's more to it. And maybe we will come to different conclusions or similar conclusions about different topics, but she understands the nuance. She understands the gray area. She understands that certain things are not easy. They're not black and white, because there's a lot of gray area. And I am showing up for those who value equal rights and who want the choices. They don't want to choose marriage over career or career over marriage. They want to do both, and they want to do it well, and they want to serve their family by also financially contributing. But they also, and for some of them, they also want to do it from home. And that's usually who I'm working with, is the moms who have found ways to do it from home and are doing it in their sphere of influence and are doing it their way, and that be okay, that they're still a working mom, but home for their kids. It's flexible. It's the family they want. It's the life that they want. It's the real freedom they want in that regard. There's all of these things that are very much always a spectrum. There's always some little thing, right? Like, I use essential oils, but I also use ibuprofen. I've gotten all my major vaccinations, but usually I skip the flu shot, right? I drink a crap ton of water, but I also really enjoy Coke. We are figuring this out. I have done a lot of natural things, a lot of coping skills to manage my anxiety, but for a while I was also on an anti-anxiety med, and it was amazing, and it helped me in that season. So these things are important to realize. There's no one set way to do things. But if we deny science, we're denying progress. And if we deny tradition, we're denying comfort and safety and things that make people feel cozy and at home, and we are denying people on both ends. So if we can accept science and tradition, if we can accept modern ways of doing things while also still letting people live in how they want to, that's important. So I'm here doing what I've always done. God has brought me back to where I always began, which was a membership, a community, but with actual coaching, not just pay money and have resources that you just look at. It comes with actual coaching and connection from someone who is actually a trained therapist and actually a trained coach who knows what they're doing, who has walked people through burnout recovery, building confidence, who has walked people through showing up and finding the rhythm that works for their life. Because my rhythm doesn't look like your rhythm. Your rhythm doesn't look like your neighbor's rhythm. What works for you isn't going to work for them. What works for you in this season might not even work for you a year from now. So how do you easily change course and adjust? I actually have part of my program that teaches that teaches the basics of how you realign your rhythm with this new season of life. And it was always meant to be a membership because nobody is meant to do this alone. And the internet has been isolating us. And so nobody is meant to do this alone. So God is bringing me back. Radical trust in him by radically trusting myself and radically trusting this vision that he gave me, which is a community of women who are doing the best they can for their family with the information they have, with their beliefs going forward. And that's going to mean moms who are fully, it's probably mostly going to be scrunchy moms, people who are a mix of both. But the reality is it's going to be a melting pot. It's where women can come together and have the tools to recover from burnout. It's going to be it is a place where women can connect with one another. The other thing is I didn't want to be the only talking head in my community. A lot of coaching, a lot of courses, a lot of memberships, you have one talking head. And the fact is I'm going to be bringing in other people to talk to the moms in this community. I don't know everything about podcasting. I'm going to bring in someone that knows about podcast guesting. I don't know I don't know what it's like to run a business as a neurotypical person. I'm not a neurotypical person and I am chronically ill. I'm going to bring in people that can speak to those people. Although I do have a lot of chronically ill people in my community, a lot of neurodivergence in my community, they're probably going to gravitate and that's fine. But I'm going to have people that know more than I do about certain subjects. I'm not great with organization and I don't homeschool, but I have two great people in mind to bring in who are organizers, one of whom also homeschools and one of whom doesn't. So they can give you two different perspectives because the goal is not to be the only talking head in this community. It is to be learning from one another. Yes, I bring a certain expertise. I can walk you through burnout recovery. I can walk you through coping skills. I can walk you through rhythms of life and work-life balance. But there are other people who are going to know practical stuff about self-employment and running businesses that come from a different perspective I do. And that's what we're all about. We're all about nuance, gray area, and what works for us. And that is what this was always meant to be. That is what God has always been building in me, that I've just been putting off to create a course or to try just one-on-one coaching or to do this, which I do therapy in my private practice all the time. I do a lot of one-on-one work. So God has really been focused on this group of women, this community of women. And I am looking for those women who want to build sustainable lives, raising thoughtful kids, and refusing to be boxed in even when life feels heavy, where we can support and uplift each other because a rising tide lifts all ships. So we can support each other. We can be there for each other. So can I radically trust God by radically trusting myself? I think I'm getting there. And if you are interested in this community of women, the doors are opening up again. There is a founding members price that I would love to let you in on, where you lock in that price for as long as you're in the membership before it goes up to its regular price. And it'll go up the day we have our first live call, which I believe I have scheduled for October 8th. So in about 4 weeks. So doors open October 8th. price will go up to full price then. And if you would like to know more, the link to sign up is in the description box below. You will get access to the vault right away. And I am revamping things in the vault, but what's in there already, you will get access to immediately. But the first live call will be October 8th. And this does come with actual in-person coaching, like weekly, well, not in person, but like live. Live is the right word. Live coaching from me or my guest coach so that you are able to essentially build the self-employed life that you want as a mom. And so if you want to know more, information in the description. If you're just like, I want to hear more about what you have to say on some of these topics in the future, on what, you know, self-employment and chronic illness and motherhood looks like, and making choices that are best for your family, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and join this community of women who is growing, who want to do what's best for their family and not just get caught up in extremes, and know what it's like to live in the nuance and the messy middle and want to do it not alone. And if you want to see what radically trusting myself looks like, this is a good place to follow along because this is where it's going to show up. So I hope to see you next time. Bye.